Here is a Vendex pencil vending machine that also stamps letters. For a nickel, to get a pencil, I will start putting in game room repair. G, A, all the way across to repair, got the I, and then R. Alright, there's game room repair, got spaces in between the words, and the nickel in, crank the handle, out comes my pencil. And there you have it, game room repair. This stencil is a reproduction. I was with it when I bought the machine, not really thrilled with the way it looks, so I'm going to reproduce my own. I'll do a separate video once I have that done to show you the results. Here's the directions, and notice that it says you start out by putting all of the levers in the down position before you go up and select what you want to stamp. And it is actually important that you do that, and I will show you why when we look inside. At this point, I've taken the machine completely apart, and every single piece in here was cleaned up. All the grease and grime has been removed. Putting it back together, and so at this point I'm going to stop and show you how the internal mechanism works. As you select what letters you want to stamp, it's rolling this wheel, and on the wheel you can see all of the letters that are there. The instructions on the front plate tell you to put the letters all the way up. Each letter goes all the way up and then all the way down before stamping. And when you have it open, you can see that the reason why is because the ink pad, that's right there, will ink all of the letters by you going all the way up and then all the way down. You run ink over all the letters so you get a good impression. Let's move all these down and then see how the rest of the mechanism works. Before you place a nickel in, there is a lever that's running here horizontally, hooked onto this finger, and that is resting on this cam. There's a ledge here. When you try to crank the handle, the ledge will hit this finger and not allow you to crank any farther. When you drop a nickel in, it goes past the magnet and this weight, which is sensing that it is a nickel. Smaller, lighter weight pennies and dimes get caught on there and go out the back end, but the nickel gets past it. The nickel ends up right here, which is now resting on that lever, raising that finger, which has raised it up here so that it will clear the ledge and allow the cam to fully crank when I crank the handle. As seen from the back side, when I start to crank the handle, again this lever will clear and it will allow these arms to pull, because I have this handle on the shaft and the shaft is attached to these arms. It'll pull this whole slide assembly forward. The pencil is resting here on two little fingers sticking out. That's holding the current pencil to be imprinted, and cranking the handle will allow it to go straight forward and impress it or push it right into the letters. And so this is coming in just below where the ink pad is. So as I crank the handle, we go forward and press into the pencil. Now I don't have the ink pad inked up yet, but there you can see the letters. Also, at the same time that you're stamping the pencil, this lever arm has two prongs on it, and the prongs will grab onto the nickel and push it outwards, ejecting it and into the cash box. So here, as I push this forward, there, now it's grabbing the nickel and pushed it onwards. On the back side there is an adjustment of the pencil hopper that is important. The adjustment is the fact that there's a pin here with a hump, and then when you put these two screws in, there's a space between the screw, or I should say between this edge. There's a space between here and the wall, the front of the machine, so that when you put the screws in, it will rock or pivot on this center hump. And both sides have that. See, there's a hump right there. And so, in other words, if I loosen this screw up and if I turn this screw in, then this whole plate will rock inwards or outwards. And where that's important is when the pencils come down and line up with this slide plate that pushes them forward. So you want to adjust the position of this so that as the pencils come down, they fall right into the spot where they should. So this last channel for the pencils, it can move backwards and forwards and get yourself lined right up to drop. And here I've got it coined up. I'll push out a pencil, and when I come back, notice how the next pencil drops right into place because it's lined up on both of these right where it should be. When the letters are stamped on the pencil, if the letters are not right in the middle of the flat, if the letters are too high or too low, you adjust that by going into the bottom of the machine and loosening these two screws, and then it allows this plate to be either move more forward or backwards. That is the plate that goes up and falls in between these teeth to position the letters and lock them in place. So by this plate moving more forward or more backward, it's going to cause these teeth to be pushed forwards or backwards, which then moves the levers a little bit one way or the other and causes the actual stamp to be put higher or lower into the pencil. The combination of this crossbar with these two curled fingers, in addition to this rod that goes across and it's hooked on to that bar, so the bar comes down and here's that rod going through. But it's a combination of this as well as this rotating rod with these serrated discs on it. All of this in combination will prevent this last vertical channel from getting jammed. In other words, as the pencils are all lined up and they all need to feed down through here, all of this will keep it flowing properly. So you'll see how this works when I crank it goes down and then comes back up, drops the next one in place. So you have this serrated wheel that's grabbing the pencils and kind of agitating them, as well as this rod here going up and down. Very clever. With the hopper full of pencils and me holding this lever up so I can cycle it multiple times, we'll look at how this works in the back. You see here that these curled fingers keep pushing the pencils up and resetting them every time. So that we always have just one feeding down in here. The two little ledges I'm pointing to, there's one here and there's one over on this other side. Those two ledges are at an angle. They go slightly upwards, but that angle matches the hexagonal shape of the pencil. So the combination of that angle that the pencil falls on, the flat backdrop or vertical surface of the slide plate that's holding on to the other side of this pencil, and then this spring-loaded finger right here, the combination of all of that will cause the pencil to have one side of the hexagon shape, the vertical flat front face, come straight into the stamps, so that it does be, it gets stamped properly here, and you're not on one of these peaks when you're driving the pencil into the different letters. And then finally, these spring-loaded fingers right here, they'll eject the pencil after it's been stamped and this slide is coming backwards. The pencil on the way out to get stamped will rotate this up and get past it, but on the way back it'll hit that front face and eject the pencil. So there we go. Past it, set it, stamp the pencil, on the way back we grab it and push it off of those little fingers. And Ven's out to you.
For more information, visit GameRoomRepair.com.